I'd like to call this meeting of the Shaftsbury Select Board to order on Monday, June 21st at 6:31. There is one addition to the agenda that I'd like to bring up, and that is under Department of Public Works. We will be looking at a bid that, we're going to approve a bid that will go out for work on West Mountain Road project. So is there anybody that has a conflict with what is shown and just been added to the agenda?
No.
Okay, minutes. We have minutes from
Just the 7th.
June 7th meeting. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Ken, seconded by Mike. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Just sign the front.
Just sign the top, that's fine.
Top, okay. Okay, warrants.
Recording in progress.
Okay, warrant. Payroll warrant number 25 for $23,205.83.
That'll be $22,552.42. The bottom left number
Oh,
is the
okay.
number.
I don't go to the bottom here, okay? $22,552.42. There's even an arrow there.
Yeah.
Pointing towards, okay. A motion?
So moved.
Ken?
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. And last meeting, I failed to send this around. And now that we got everybody here, we will all sign it. That can go.
Oh, that goes to him?
That goes to him.
Thank you.
Okay, check warrant.
So 38.
Check warrant number 38. And I do look at the bottom number on this one.
Yes, on
Okay,
the second page.
$15,663.79.
So moved.
Moved by Ken. Second by Mike. Some of the larger ones. Aflac for $1,000. Bennington County Regional Commission for $1,500. Business card services for $2,200. Dufresne for $1,400. We got some tree work for $2,800. And I guess that's it. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Set this down before it falls apart.
That's Joan's envelope. She's not getting a new one.
Was that broke?
She's had this for 10 years and she doesn't want to get rid of it.
Okay, announcements. As of tomorrow, there will be posted on our website and a link to CAT TV that will be the public meeting that was held on the 14th, where we talked about the water project, replacing the mains along Main Street, and Church Street. Dufresne Engineering it'll be a recording that was taped at that time. So anybody that missed it or wants to see it again, it will be on our website and a link to Cat TV. Is that right, Dave?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Public comments. We will be talking about ARPA right after the warrant, if you want to.
Talk about which art?
We're going to be talking about the ARPA funding and that sort of stuff, but if you wanted to talk about,
I'll wait for the discussion.
okay.
All right, I did have one announcement. Church Street is going to be closed tomorrow at the railroad crossing. V-Trans is doing some paving preparation work there, so it'll be closed for the day.
Treasurer's report? Oh, I'm sorry, was there anybody?
I didn't see anybody on the screen.
Mike's got his hand up.
Oh, Mike.
Yes, Mike.
Mike, you're muted.
There you go.
Mike, can you hear us? Martha, can you hear us? Just make a... You can? Okay.
Sorry, I can hear you, yes.
Thank you. Mike, can you hear me? It's your signal, I think.
Okay. Can we go ahead? I guess we aren't going to make connections.
Mike, when you get sound, we'll let you jump back in. We can't hear you right now.
Or you could call in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be hard too.
Okay, do you have the,
Yep, hold on 1 second.
let's look at the cash flow first.
Yeah.
I'm getting kind of sick of hearing myself say this, but we're in really good shape. The year is going to end in another week or so. Looks like we're not going to need the line of credit in anticipation of taxes this year. Nothing has changed, and I keep saying unless something changes, we're not going to need that. So as of right now, it looks like we won't. We can look at some of the,
Hold on, we're working on it.
it disappeared. Yeah, there we go. That's the second of the two school tax reconciliations. I told you we could expect that. There was an approximately equal amount in May. So that's our final reconciliation with school taxes. I forgot what that government grant was. Dave, do you remember off the top of your head? $7,600?
Government grant was reimbursement for the hazard mitigation
That's right.
plan.
That's right. Farther down, the other thing that's affecting the cash flow is that North Bennington never cashed our water check that was in some contention. And we're gonna have to write a new one because it's too stale. So that's just making it look like we've got more cash than we really do. It's claimed by them, and that, I think was that gonna be in the next?
No, that's a point to be debated.
Oh, it's still being
Yeah.
discussed, okay, so eventually, but, I mean, we shouldn't fall in love with that money because it'll go to them pretty soon, but, if you want to look down at the bottom, you can see we've got, over $400,000 in the bank, which will probably get us through the next few months until, taxes go out, with the caveat I always make this time of year, and that depends on whether I get a nice new grand list, which I don't have as of now, but when I do, then I'll be able to send out the tax bills right away. Any questions about any of that?
I think I think the grand list is coming along. Have you-
The way I understand it, yeah, the grievances were done last week. We don't know if there's going to be an appeal on that, but it should be lodged on time by mid-July.
Excellent. And I will, as soon as I got it, I will move to get the taxes out right away. I've already got people wanting their tax bills. I don't understand what the rush is, but it's already
So,
happening.
once you get the grand list, then you have to come to us with the tax rate.
That's right, then you approve it, you generally happens, well, as early in August as I can make it happen.
Yes, absolutely.
And then, once we've got that, then there's some other things that I have to do.
Yeah, okay.
A couple of late night stuffing envelopes. Do you want, we can take a real quick look at the reserve fund if you want. The only thing that's going on is water collections, I believe. And we're approaching the end of that water billing cycle. It's hard to see. It's just that, that one number that sticks out in credits is water collections. and that's-
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Just trying to throw you off there.
Take my word for it, it's hard to read, but yeah, there you go. That $21,000 there is all just going into the water department. No activity in anything else. Any questions about any of that?
Any
No.
questions? You all set?
So I'll be closing the year right on time on June 30th, and there's some things I need to do to make that happen cleanly, but we're in pretty good shape, I think. Okay.
Congratulations
Thank
and
you.
thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the ARPA funding, which is money that is be given to us with, I think, just 3 stipulations. It's got to go for water, sewer, or communications. Is that right, Dave?
So there are a few more that really don't have much applicability here.
Okay.
Hold on one second. I will bring up more information. But we can go into the basics in just one second, sorry. It's the problem with doing this on one laptop, it takes a while to get everything to go. No, it's not coming up. Okay, well, let me just read off some of the things then, because that's not happening. Here we go. Sorry. Okay, so we're gonna skip ahead here. Most of this is how for me to use the portal. But these are some of the things that they're talking about in the use of the funds is, and it's good to have the planning commission here because they want this to be discussed and not just jumping into things. And there's a couple of key things to remember in all this also is that, the money which we have to agree to take within 30 days from June 23rd, because that's when the state is officially accepting it. So we have till July 23rd to put in the little thing that I'm going to put in. We don't have to make an obligation towards any project until October of 2024, and we don't actually have to spend the funds until October of 2026. By the calculations last week, we are our share for fiscal 21 will be $179,173, and for fiscal 22, $179,173. The county funding, which is a far larger segment, for Bennington County last week was discussed at about $6,889,000. If they use the same formula that was used for the first part, that would turn into about $705,000 for Shaftsbury. But that hasn't been agreed to. The way the law was written, it was for use by county governments, which Vermont does not have. So they're trying to work, and it's been successful. The governor and the state senators working with, I believe, the Treasury Department to broaden the scope of this so that the money can be distributed. Because the money we're getting now is what they wrote into the law as non-entitlement communities. So the money was just broken up by the state. So going into the details of it is, there's a few things you can spend the money on, and one is pandemic response as for public health emergency or its negative impacts. We haven't had much of that in this community. Same with workforce personnel, workers performing essential work during the thing. You know, we don't have hospitals, we don't have any of that. Lost revenue, we haven't lost any revenue. The big one for us is water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. And there's already $150 million coming from the state for broadband. So there's other things really to look at, and there's also the infrastructure bill that I believe at some point will pass Congress and probably have more money for that because it is a large problem for Vermont. So basically, the details are the pandemic response, which doesn't really fit much for us, the LGBT workforce either. We haven't lost any revenue, so that doesn't work out. So we'll skip all these, how to calculate your loss. And then it's just infrastructure, broadband, and water, and you can't spend on these things. That's a real quick overview, but it boils down to water, sewer, and broadband. And broadband, like I said, is very well financed at this point, and more is coming, I'm sure, for that because it is such a big priority. So we're looking at water and sewer. As we've been talking about, we have a essentially shovel-ready $1.1 million water project that'll serve South Shaftsbury Village because the water main is past its useful lifespan.
Chris? I'd like to hear what the planning
Well,
board.
you know, we've been talking about this at the planning commission over the last couple of meetings.
Yep.
Recognizing maybe an unprecedented opportunity for the town, and we're supposed to kind of look into the future as the planning commission and think about where this might go. It surely is an opportunity for South Shaftsbury Village. The water system only has 305 households, so the people who would directly benefit would be pretty small relative to the overall population. But it's that and wastewater investment in a system to be determined are the real hopes for growth in the village itself. So that, you know, even though the people who connect to these systems might be small in number, over time you could see a growth that wouldn't happen otherwise. I don't know that we've actually seen that in Pownell, which is the nearest example of a town about our size and very close to population that's gone through this exercise. There doesn't seem to be a lot of commercial growth based on ability to hook up to a sewer system. So, you know, these are the things you have to weigh. These are the things we talk about in the planning commission. But I'm here to hear your thinking on the matter.
Okay. One of the things that is very specific in the guidelines is that we are not supposed to invest in something that is going to cost us later on. And in other words, don't set up something where either through maintenance or a sewer system definitely would mean that people that hooked up to it would have to pay for hooking up to it from their house to the main. It's got to come out the other side of the house. There would be pump stations that have to be maintained, and of course there is a monthly sewer bill that would have to be paid by those customers and that sort of stuff. So that's one of the reasons we're kind of not, we aren't shying away, but that's one of the negative things about a sewer system is that it specifically says you really shouldn't be investing in something that's gonna cost people later on. The water system, this is a three-stage thing, and there's $1 million now. I don't know, 5-7 years from now, there's gonna be another multi-million-dollar part of it that's gotta be done. And I'm afraid that if we take the $1 million that we have to borrow now, add it on to the $1 million 7 or 8 years before this one's paid off, you're gonna have some pretty hefty water bills, certainly by the time we go to the final stage and that sort of stuff. And I just think that it would really be helpful if we use this $1 million to fund the water system right as it is right now, shovel-ready, engineered, all ready to go out to bid, and that sort of stuff. And we would then start saving money to help offset the next $1 million part of the project that's got to happen because we're only replacing 1/3 of it right now. That's our thoughts at this moment.
Well, you were planning to pay for this before any of this money came on the horizon.
We realized we had to borrow the money, but if we
So it's
don't,
gonna be a bond issue?
certainly going to be a bond issue, and it's going to be paid by 300 and some odd people, but it's going to be voted on by the town because you use the assets of the town to guarantee it, even though 300 and some odd people are going to end up paying for it. So that would be the same thing with the sewer too. I don't think you'd be adding sewer to much more than what is available for town water right now, unless there's something else. But that's where we are at this moment.
Well, the discrepancy between town water board, which is you people,
Yep.
and the town of Shaftsbury Select Board, which is also you people.
Yep.
They're two separate entities. Supposedly, actual practice is not quite as distinct, but, so this money is really going to the Shaftsbury Water Board.
It's going to the 300 and some odd citizens of Shaftsbury that are on the water system.
Right.
I mean, the water board's going to end up, somebody's got to pay for the digging and the replacing of the pipe. And that's, so you can say it's going to the water board, but the people that it benefits are the payers of the water rates right now that are not going to see a huge jump in their water bill down the line.
But in the next phase, would that probably happen?
What would happen?
Big increase by the households that are connected? Cost increase in terms of how to pay for it if there's no American Rescue Plan money? What does the next stage look like?
The next stage is about, I would say, I don't know exactly what, it's probably down Cleveland Avenue and that area.
Yeah, the next stage runs through Cleveland and that area. The big benefit to this is, we have bonds now, one will be paid off. So this would be an increase on the current debt, this 1.1 million, if we do go to bonding like we had talked about. That piles up with the second bond, which we would have to put out in 10 years. So the big benefit here is it flattens the amount of money that would have to be paid by this part of Shaftsbury, which is also, an area that needs help. And instead of like increasing other services and demands on, this would flatten that out because all three sections have to be replaced. When we started this, because it's already past its useful life, by the time we finish the replacement, these pipes are going to be past over 100 years, well past their useful lifespan. That's predicted. Nobody knows because these were only put in during the 30s and 40s, and then they stopped putting them in. So everybody's kind of holding their breath that they're not going to start going, but nobody knows. We had the opportunity to start this now, that's why we did it, but
We had to start it now because they're going, in a couple of years, they're going to be tearing up Route 7, taking the concrete base out, and the last thing they want us to do after they've put on a whole new road is to start digging holes again.
Yeah, right.
So, and it probably was a good thing, because that it's forcing us to start now, because, like he said, we don't know how long it's gonna last.
you know,
And we're
the
trying
other-
to stretch it out as long as we can, because it's gonna be.
Because it's
some
going to be
huge
very
money.
expensive. And the other thing on the table is, of course, the infrastructure they keep talking about in Washington, which would be a huge amount of money, dwarfing this. And then, you know, the expense like of starting a sewer system or something would have lots and lots of expenses to it, far more than the $1 million we're talking about here. And then, you know, you have all the service connections and that, so there's money, there's other money coming, and there'll be a discussion about that money too. What's infrastructure would that go to? But out of the three main categories here, it's an existing system that is past its useful life, or a new system that we can't even be fully funded with this.
I think, kind of reflect back, the Economic Development Committee was formed when Stanley Tool closed up shop. And we hired a consulting firm that did surveys and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure you've probably read the book. We did not start out by saying we needed a sewer system. That was one of the recommendations that came out of that study. They did surveys, they did public meetings at the school, suppers where everybody checked off things, surveys were handed out. It was done very professionally. It wasn't just something that we did. It was actually done by a company that's what they do for a living. And one of the recommendations was that to look at a sewer system. So then we took that initiative and hired an engineering firm to see what it would cost. And then we even hired University of Vermont to do a survey that went out to all taxpayers and all that sort of stuff. And it was asked some very pointed questions. You know, are you willing, if you live in Shaftsbury Hollow, are you willing to pay a little bit more for your taxes? The fact that you may be able to have a car wash in downtown Shaftsbury, a restaurant, all that sort of stuff. And of course, there were the people that on Cleveland Avenue that were deeply affected by that and that sort of stuff. And we had a meeting at the school, very well attended, and we went all through this. There were engineers there. There was they were talking about what was coming down the pike as far as if you sold your house, what would you have to do to have an updated sewer system and all that sort of stuff. And we all know that Cleveland Avenue was not exactly what it should be. And at the end of that presentation, they said, well, what do you think? And it just was nothing. I mean, I was the moderator, and it was just dead silence. Nobody really had nobody was excited about it, and most people were just saying, it's not for us. That's the people of Shaftsbury at that time. That's not to say that it is now, but I can tell you it was just dropped because there just was no initiative to go any further. I think it was the fact that we're looking at millions of dollars paid by just a few people.
That was 3 million, or that was what they estimated? 3
Yeah,
million?
now, there is an argument that at that time, they were talking about going all the way to North Bennington and hooking on there. They have come up with different things now, so I think they're accepting different modes of doing it, whether it's a plant or just a big filtration thing here for a few people and all that sort of stuff. But at that time, that was the estimated cost by an engineering firm. And that would have picked up Twitchell Hill. It would have probably picked up Parent Acres, which in reality it should. So it was a lot more than the 300 people downtown, but it just was not accepted at that time. So,
So is it still on the radar if infrastructure money comes down?
oh, absolutely.
Okay, and what exactly? I mean, I recently reread the Otter Creek Engineering reports on this subject, and their preferred solution was dispersed. I couldn't quite understand it. It wasn't a connection to North Bennington. It was a dispersed system, and it sounded like it would only connect like 75 households or something like
That's right.
that.
One of the thoughts is that there's a plot of land out here that might do it. At the time Shaftsbury redid their system for the school, it was way over, engineered way over what the school could ever put into it. So that was a possibility that some people could connect there. And again, there was talk about, would we have to buy Peter's property to do this?
Yeah.
Okay, we'd have to buy
Okay.
the barn and that property out there, and that sort of stuff. So there are, yes, but again, less than 100 people, in my opinion.
Right, that's
And-
what I took away.
Yeah, and it really makes sense that Twitchell Hill, Heron Acres, that whole area, if we're gonna do it, really should do all that. And so that may be even more than $3 million now. So that's, and even if we had a system that took care of the country store, we still got the parking problem. You know what I'm saying is that I don't think that a sewer system is just going to automatically explode into everything opening up. It certainly is going to help. In fact, we may be in the same position as Pownell some spring. The reason Pownell has a septic system as big as it is because there was raw sewage going into the river.
I remember.
And the state of Vermont says that's our water, we've got to protect it. So the taxpayers of the whole state did a lot coming up with that. That may happen here in a perfect spring or something like that. I can't. So, again, a lot of things could be coming down. And we certainly realize the importance of it. We've got to have something, but in my lifetime, I don't know. But it's at this point in time, we think that the $1 million would help in other ways. That's our,
Thank you.
You kind of had two problems in Pownell too, Art. They didn't have, most of the wells down there were private wells. They didn't have
didn't have town water,
town water.
just a few things
Yeah,
on
and the
that
soil down there is all clay.
different than here.
Right, and I'd tear this whole town down for the gravel sitting on. It's really good drainage here.
But it's almost too good. I think that,
Well, it can be, yes, but,
I think some of the problems with Perrin Creek and Lake Perrin.
well, that's a little different down there too. It's the soil right under the village where we're sitting. It's like, as an example, the septic system in my dad's house, he built the house in 1950. It's the same one that's there now. And so if you have one go bad in the village, it's not a real big deal. Just dig them out and add a little more stone and you're right, you're pretty good. So that's why people are not gonna wanna run to pay $3,000 per house to go hook onto a sewer.
Comments from anybody else? Joe, you live in town? Yes. You know, I mean, you would be an example of somebody that would have to pay to have reconnected to the sewer system because it'd be coming out on the street side, and I'm sure your septic system was out on the back. There would be bills and all that sort of stuff, on top of paying more for water pretty soon too.
So we're gonna have a septic system or a sewer system.
If, what we're debating is whether or not we,
I thought the problems with the sewer system in Shaftsbury anyway was that it has to go somewhere and Bennington can't handle it.
no, Bennington handle it,
They can.
yes,
Okay.
they will. Comments from anybody else?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear some.
Does anyone on Zoom have a comment? Okay. Okay. I'd just like to clarify one thing, because we keep talking about $1 million. The appropriation is $358,000 right now, that's what we're guaranteed. And when they
Yes.
divide the county money, if they do it by the same formula they did this, then we get close to $1 million. I just don't want anybody thinking there's $1 million on the table here. There's not. There's more coming, but that has yet to be determined.
But without a question, there's $1 million bill coming up.
Well, without a doubt, there's a $1.1 million bill coming up. There's no doubt about that. And just one other thing, the board needs to appoint an authorized representative to sign all the paperwork for this, which the paperwork is in my computer, so I don't know. If someone wants to make a nomination for the authorized representative.
You need someone to do that?
Yeah, frankly, it'd be easier for me to administrate it through the computer system because it's going to have to be dealt with continually,
Alright.
so.
I'd nominate Dave to be the administrator of that.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion that Dave be the appointed, what's the?
The authorized representative for
Authorized
the ARPA funding.
representative by Mike, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried.
Okay.
Any other comments or anything?
No, not really.
Okay.
You know, I came here to hear your thoughts.
Yep.
And, you know, we're studying this.
Yes. Okay. It's a long ways off too. Like you said, we
Right, I understand.
only got,
But, you know, at a certain point, a commitment will be made in the form of a contract that will be bid, and then it won't be far off. It'll be fixed. So, on your timeline, when would that happen?
for the water,
Yeah.
absolutely. It is going out to,
We are finalizing the permit process with the state now. We're at the 90% point in the plans. We'll be ready to go to bid probably by the fall. See, we're up against two things here. The ARPA funding, when it will be available, which isn't going to be completely available till next year anyway, at the best pace, but we have a bonding decision to make, so we kind of have to commit which way we're going. Because I've deliberately not started the bonding process if we have access to money that isn't going to cost these citizens another big bump in their water bills. And just because it's here. So I would say the fall is when this is going, when the county money, when they decide how that's going to go, we'll have a clear idea of, they could come up with a totally different formula where, towns with 3,800 people get, 6%, and towns with 4,200 get 15%. I mean, who knows how they're going to work this out. So that's a big chunk, because 350 doesn't get us a third of the money we need to do the water system. So we have to wait for the county money. But it'll be the fall. It's not going to go on forever. Because we have, they're going to pave from 67 north. They're jumping ahead and leaving this behind so we can do the water system. But this is all going to be dug out in at least 24. And if the federal money comes through on a new infrastructure package, they might want to push that up too. So we kind of have some time constrictions here too. But the key is settle the county money. What's that actually going to look like to the towns? That's what we really need to know.
okay?
So would that be a bid in the fall and then start in the spring, or would it start right in the fall?
No, because of what's being done and everything, I would think we're looking at best, summer of '22, could be fall of '22, depending on when the ARPA funds are actually distributed, which is also not certain. Remember, because they bumped this out so that you don't even have to commit till '24, and you don't have to spend till '26. So, they might just say, well, this sounds great, but the money's coming in '23 and '24, which if it comes that way, we're back to bonding because we're not going to have the money to do it. So there's details. There's still a lot of details yet that they haven't worked out, but we want to one of the first things they said in the discussions on this is get community people involved in it, so this is part of it. Let's have discussions about how the money's used.
If we have to bond and then the money does come available, are we allowed to pay off a bond with it, or once that?
That's another legal question that we're gonna have to see how the final wording is, because you're not supposed to pay down this. It doesn't specifically say no, but I don't know, you're talking about, well, let's go borrow money, and if we get this amount, we'll just pay it off. I mean, that might be on the no list too. So, like I said, the key thing is, and I hope we're getting closer to how are they breaking up the county money. That's really what we need to know. Because if it isn't a sufficient amount for us, we're at the bond bank anyway. If we don't have a sufficient amount to do the water system, we're not gonna have anywhere near the amount of money to start seriously talking about sewer systems. So it's kind of, let's see the final number, and that'll set the timeline of what we're doing.
I think the point is we're under the gun. We've got to do it before they tear up the road.
Yeah, we still have, because they had federal money coming for that in '24. And so we said we would move it to get it done.
Okay,
I have another question on a
Absolutely.
completely different subject.
go ahead.
What guidance are you getting from the state of Vermont about public meetings? My board is interested in staying on Zoom and not driving to meetings, but that was under the emergency decree, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
So where do we stand now?
We decided that because we got documents to sign and all that sort of stuff, and we just thought it was a little bit nicer to sit here and talk and that sort of stuff, but we are still accepting people on Zoom, and we're going ahead with that. We spent money so that we could have people come in and Zoom. I don't think there's anything that says you still can't have meetings on Zoom.
There is as of June 15th, the emergency decree is gone. You must follow the open public meeting law. Under the open public meeting law, members of a board are always allowed to attend remotely. However, there has to be one member of the board or a designee or a staff member and a physical place to hold a meeting so that people could come here to Cole Hall. There'd be at least one person here. The person here would have to be set up so that they could be on the meeting, be heard and seen and everything else. So you can have a hybrid of some people remote, but you have to have a physical presence here. This has to be broadcast so that the person here can be on camera, see people on the screen, and communicate with them. I sent you the synopsis from VLCT this afternoon.
Oh,
So you can read through it quickly, and because it's pretty, just what I said. It's kind of like you have to have the designated survivor here, and everybody else can stay home, and you can run the meeting that way.
Yeah, this is my first face-to-face meeting. I kind of liking it.
Okay. Well, we like it too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay, thanks for coming, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Okay, every five years, the junkyard at Brownells is inspected, or I'm sure they inspect it more than once every 5 years, but the state is now responsible for inspecting junkyards, has a list of criteria that they go and check with it and all that sort of stuff. We just have to sign off on the fact that that we do accept the fact that there is a state-approved junkyard in our town. There are some things that the town specified, which was that cars couldn't be piled up over the fence and a few other things like that. Dave and I went down to Brownells last Monday, or last Friday. Last Friday, talked with Billy, and we're all set to sign the document if everybody approves.
And the documents were distributed to the board in the packet for this meeting over the weekend. So we actually have two documents. One is the approval of location of a salvage yard, which states basically just what Art said. We're continuing the approval of location with conditions. They are the same conditions that existed in the prior approval. And then you don't have this, Ken. Unfortunately, this is not a fillable PDF, so excuse my handwriting, but that's the actual certificate of approval the board needs to sign too, along with
this one?
along with this one, yes.
Okay. Last meeting, we had some discussion from a neighbor, and that's why Dave and I went and looked at the facility, and it is complying with everything, the criteria that we are responsible for looking at, okay? And I don't see them on
No,
Zoom either.
there's no one waiting in the waiting room. Everyone's here.
So, I guess we need a motion that we will sign the document that accepts approval of location of a salvage yard in the town of Shaftsbury.
So moved.
Ken? Second by Mike. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So we've got two documents we've got to sign.
This one here and that one. Both of these?
Yes. This one even tells you where to sign. How's that? Okay. You sign there. You already signed this one, so
Yeah.
this one goes down.
Go.
Dave, okay?
Yeah.
Grace.
Thank you.
Well, that's what we want to talk to you about. We just wondered, I've heard a couple citizens just say, well, I haven't heard very much from the Historical Society. The rumor is that maybe the church is for sale.
Well, we've talked about it. Nothing's been set in stone. We're trying to get a WW permit established on the property. Right now, I'm working with the Vermont Preservation Trust of Vermont. Megan Campbell and her associates. We're getting a 50-50 grant to get assessments to fix the spires on the church and to rehab the Lucia Homestead foundation and so forth. So we have a contact with the person, an engineering firm that's going to come down. They're going to assess the property, estimate how much it'll cost, and provide us with resources to actually do it. That's half the problem. I mean, initially when that first one blew off at the spire blew off at the church, I went down to Vermont. We got insurance, went down to Vermont roofing. They said they do it. They fixed the slate. They never touched the spire. They gave me back the money for the spire. It's in our account. And then we're going to have a few people with the big lift trucks to get up there to look at them. Because you can't, when you get up to the top of the belfry there, you got another 16 to 20 feet to go to get through that roof. And there's no way to get a ladder up there. You almost have to build your own ladder to get up there and push it out. And I'm beyond that. I'm not going to be doing that stuff, going up on roofs and getting crazy. So when Vermont Land Trust and the other people fell through, then Megan said, you know, we talked this spring about possibly last fall and the spring about getting a consultant in, getting an assessment, and it was a 50-50 match. They pay for half of it, we pay for half of it, and basically they break down what needs to be done. I mean, ideally there was an issue when we were going to go, when we were having MSK, I think it was Eamon, come up and do a WW engineering plan for us, but there was a problem with that we didn't own it and we couldn't do it. That was discovered. We have the title for the church, and so I don't know where that came from, but the Historical Society is the owner of the church.
Oh, yes, I mean,
So
also, it's worth also explaining that you are your own corporation. You are not, you are not elected by the by the people of this
Correct.
town or anything else. You're
Correct.
your own corporation, you do own the church.
And the Governor Lucia.
Yeah, the Goulart House. But I think as citizens of Shaftsbury, it's almost like it's our identity, and we're a little bit concerned when we heard that you might be selling it.
First
So,
flew down, I was on it. I went to Vermont Roofing, and we needed to get the roof
But-
fixed, and when they did the roof, I waited and waited, they were supposed to tell me when they were gonna do it, like anything else, and then the pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing happened last year. We had, in February, we had the Governor Lucia's birthday party, which was attended by about 50 to 70 people, which was a great event. We had plans for all sorts of events last year, but
Yeah.
bang, that was it.
yep, okay.
And then this year, this fall, we're looking to have another yard sale, and we had a person coming in who's a Jane Stickle impersonator for quilting. As a matter of fact, we have a donation coming tomorrow night, I believe, from West Rutland of a quilt that was made, I want to say, in 1880s or 1890s. And they were signed, each piece was, everybody in the quilting club made their own square and they signed them. And there is a stickle on one of the squares, but I think it was a cousin or it wasn't Jane. So tomorrow night we're meeting and possibly a new member as well, so it's nice. I mean,
Are there any other grants or anything
I
other?
applied for the CDHP grant, we got compliant, small. The grants that you get are like $2,000 to $5,000 at the most, $2,000, average. What we needed, $100,000, $200,000. I mean, to do it right. So, I'm not a grant writer. I did do it. I thought we did a great job on it for $5,000. They didn't. So, it's the luck of the draw. They had so much, they give it up and they give it to the people they think they need it.
Yep.
And I keep getting, well, try again. I'm like, well, we gotta come up with a plan. We gotta know how much we need. That's why this assessment is so important. What we need, and now with the price of lumber and whatever we have to do to fix stuff, hopefully that's coming down. It is heading, increase in lumber prices. But, we're a small organization. We're on a shoestring budget. We got about 20 grand a year we spend. We have funds in a trust to keep the place going in perpetuity. But we start getting those funds, and it'll be gone before you know it. So the whole idea is to keep that there. We get a little shot every quarter. We pay the bills and so forth. What we really need is a treasurer. We got a new secretary. She's a quilter, and we're meeting in the House as a quilting. They're running their meetings there as well, but last year and nothing happened. I mean, it was pretty much shut down. And we did put a new furnace in it 2 years ago. We maintain it best we can with what we have. I mean, we cleaned up the area in the back last year. Last fall, we fixed the roof on the north barn and the south barn, shed roof, and horse thieves at the cemetery. All those roofs got fixed. Fixed some of the holes in the Eagle, quote-unquote, Eagle Square Museum barn. But those are temporary, those are bandages to get some of the elements out.
Yeah, we were given a tour of Eagle Square when the people that are down there now are pulled out looking for it. And they took us into the old room where your stuff is, and it's dangerous. I mean, that could, first of all, there's mold and all that sort of stuff growing there, and
There was a lot of stuff we had listed to pull, and actually we had Pam say they would move it for us.
Okay.
And it just never happened. It's like, coordination is not a easy thing to do around here. Everyone's busy.
Okay. One of my concerns is that the big stamping machine that is there, it's one of a kind. We can't,
That big one, that in the big room,
yes,
that is a monstrosity. I don't know how you'd have to take it apart and move it, I think. I don't think we'd do that.
That's one of a kind. I'm not, I
It was
just,
probably built here. It was
Yes.
Built right there. It was engineered, it was,
if the town crew were to go look at it, would you be favorable of us getting it out of there and putting it someplace so it isn't being rained on all the time?
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if we get it somewhere, get it cleaned up, and then get it so it runs,
I don't know,
demos or something.
I don't know about that, but
I mean,
I
that
just,
thing is, huh.
we realize that, but it's also one of a kind. It's Shaftsbury, in my opinion. This is, yep.
Even when we saw that, that was not one of those things we were gonna put in the barn, it would take up the whole barn. I mean, that would be the only thing in the barn, in the museum. So what we were doing is gonna do some more of display cases and all that. We still have to do the land transfer where Andrew took a little slice of the Bruce homestead, and we're gonna get the back. And possibly, there was talk with my friend here about possibly going, putting a trailhead there to the old marble court.
Mhm.
And you were that, we mentioned there that night. you guys-
Right.
No. So that's pretty much what's happening. So if you give me, I don't know, I got the email a week ago saying that this guy was gonna reach out to me, so I'm gonna reach out to him. And we're on the hook for $500, BLT is gonna do $500, and we just gotta coordinate that guy to get here, get in here, and get it done. And that'll give us a ballpark figure of what we need to raise.
Please come back to us,
Yeah.
okay? People are wondering.
Yeah, I
Please.
mean, the only one that does peoples around here? The only one to crawl up there and see what it needs to take to put it on? I mean, we got money to pay for the spire. Well, we had money to pay for one, now there's, but we're gonna replace all of them when we do it, because the fourth one's gonna go anytime. Those are some heavy winds we had we had some wicked storms here the last couple of years. So, we're working on it. We're starting to meet once a month again, and last week, we actually met with the consultant. Instead of our meeting, we met with her at our meeting on Zoom, and she's the one that's gonna get us the assessment, and, then they know steeplejacks out of Middlebury, they know whoever they need to do and how much it's gonna cost, they'll break it down and put a figure on it, and that way we have some, we need, for the church, we need X amount of dollars, and if you're gonna do that right, you should probably stabilize it, redo the foundation around there, and fix the front steps. I mean,
Okay,
that just happened.
got any questions or comments? All set.
I would think the church would be, the Glush house, the foundation is 6 feet shorter than the north and south side. Those things are just hanging out on nothing.
Yep.
That's why that north end, if you go in the living room, it's got a big drop on it. And I found that, I didn't know that until I tried to Band-Aid it, trying to fix the portico a couple of years ago. I'm like,
Is it wooden pier? Is it like wooden piers or cinder blocks or anything?
It's rock, it's all sunk, it's all, there's nothing there, there's no support really. I had the Conic brothers down, but he didn't give me an estimate. I might try to get them back down here, because they, Vermont Preservation Trust will probably use them, or some over at Schuylerville. And they have other people too, I don't know. They come in, if we get the Conic brothers in here, they would be done in a month. They'd be up and down on the foundation in a month, and then they'd be out of here, they'd have to put the pieces back together. That's where it stands right now. We're looking for ideas, help, and we're looking at opening it up and have some events here at the end of the year.
Okay. Appreciate you coming in, and please keep in touch. We're concerned, okay?
I'll let you know as soon as we get some assessments, and then I'll tell you, we can get that infrastructure bill. We can,
Hey?
or the grant, we can get that done. Okay, thank you, have a great night.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Transfer station operation. The contract was supposed to be up by the end of this month. We've asked for an extension.
Yes.
He's come back to us with a little bit higher price in the proposed contract because we're specifying bigger containers, so, and
Yeah.
more accessible by the public and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
The
the
less-
price, yeah.
Less trips we make, the cheaper it is. We're still gonna pay the same amount per ton, but we also get paid for every trip on top of the tonnage tax. So less trips, bigger container,
Bigger container saves money.
it's all saved money for us.
Yeah. The container price they're proposing is just for recyclables is $75 above what the original price was, but the cubic yards is nearly double what we have now. So it really should work out better. We did sign the extension till August 1st, so we're set to do that. There's really no reason to go beyond that. We'll need to make some changes. I was down at Pownell, because they're, as a town, they run their transfer station. They use Casella because they're the only game in town. I went through some things there. We're gonna reposition some things, so I'll have more details, to have changed the way things are paid there, because we have to have tighter control over what's going in. And they have a good system in Pownell, which will make our auditors happy, our external auditors, for more control as people coming in and using a cash register. And instead of the free-forming lines in all direction, you would actually come in to a booth like they have in Pownell, and you pay there, and it'll be recorded as you go in. And you can see everything that's going on anyway at ours. Where Pownell's is really spread out, they actually have a number of cameras because it's so spread out. But we'll have to make some fundamental changes because we're going to have a lot tighter control over the revenue collection, because we're paying straight out for that now. Most of all that, as I said before, was absorbed in the management fee portion of the old TAM contract. So there's a lot more details to come. This will take a little while to get off the ground. Certainly with changes in some buildings. I know people have been waiting for the new swap shed and waiting for a new position for a new shed for Shelley.
She said.
Yeah. But she wanted to keep that, is all I can say. We were gonna build a new one with a garage, but she wanted that one. But we do need to move on with this. Now that this part is settled, we can start looking at how we really want to put it together and how we want it to function. And there's some details in that, and we'll see how it pans out.
I think you were telling me one interesting thing about Pownell's, they don't go by weight. It's so much per bag.
Yeah, they
Which
charge
would
per
make it-
bag. For a 13-gallon bag is what they charge for instead of weight, which might be the better way to go. Just eliminate that scale function, because the variation, I don't know if it'd be that much. We have people coming in with giant bags and kind of holding them on the scale, and it's, I don't know. The scale is they seem to work out fine. Their money comes in fine also. And it's another thing we can do, we could change it to the per bag, and we'll be getting the scale sheets, we'll be getting the tippage, and we can just see how it balances out. During this past pandemic year, when we haven't been selling those pay-to-throw things, but we've done great. People have.
Oh, it was on the honor system.
Yeah, because there was no money was changing hands, but we had the box there, people put the money in, and it's really been fine. It's really worked out well. So this would just be a way to record, like they use a whole, the cash registers, they just use everything. They have keys for different things. You're bringing in this, you're paying this amount for this. It's something our external auditors have been on us for years, because we really don't have a way of keeping track of things. So there's a lot of changes will be coming up. Now, like I said, now that it's done, there's no debate. We're keeping it, we're going to run it, so we're going to have to make changes to the way it's run. And that'll take a few months to get squared away. And I'm looking at structures now that perhaps we don't really build anything. Because especially like where you would have almost like a gatehouse where someone in the car would come up. They do it just hand out the window. What are you dropping them off? 2 tires, 6 bags. That's it, puts it right in the cash register. and it goes right behind them. So it's the kind of standard structures you could get so that the employees could work out of that building. And then we could look at having something as simple as a container office for the swap shed. Because stick building gets a little expensive for that stuff, where these canned buildings are a lot cheaper. But all that's up and coming.
But the point is, do we have to, do we need a motion to extend the contract?
No, we've already done that.
We've already
It's
done
been signed,
Okay.
because the board approved that at the last meeting or the meeting before,
All right.
so
Yep.
it's all done.
Okay, village center designation. This is just by having what's called a village center designation, property owners are now eligible for some rebates on their state tax, I think, state tax only, if they want to bring the building up to code. Mostly commercial buildings, facades, that sort of stuff can be improved. But the fact that Economic Development Committee made a pitch, there is a committee up in Montpelier that you have to go before and say, this is why we think this should be a village center designation. In other words, we're saying this is the center of town. This is where we want improvements made and all that sort of stuff. Every 5 years or something like that, I think we have to.
Maybe 8 years we have to renew this.
Every 8 years, we just have to accept it. We don't have to do anything else. Any signatures or anything else with
No,
this?
just a vote of the board. The description of, was sent around over the weekend to the board members of how we have worked on the village center over the last 8 years. And there actually are a number of things that have been changed. And as Art said, it really provides historic tax credits, code improvement credits. It gives the town priority in applying for a number of different grants by having a village
Anybody
center.
wants to
So
see
this,
that? It's just a lot of reading,
quite
so.
good things, yeah.
Yeah, so what we need is a motion.
Motion and a vote to,
motion, And as long as it's entered into our minutes.
as long as it's in the minutes, that's what they want to see.
Okay.
So moved.
Moved by Ken, second by Joe. Any discussion?
One question.
Yes.
Would that mean like the country store over here could be a historic site?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think it is, because it's been there.
Oh, no. All this does is allows the owner of the store to make improvements and then go to the state and say, look,
Yeah.
I made these improvements, please, I want a credit on my
Yeah,
taxes and
okay,
that sort of
that's
stuff.
it, yeah, it's a good thing.
If we didn't have the village center designation.
They wouldn't qualify because it's a 50% code improvement tax credit.
Yeah,
If you do a certain list of things with pre-approval from the organization.
Yeah.
But you can,
the facade, doing a ramp rather than the concrete steps, all those things,
yeah.
they could get credit for on their taxes, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I was up to discussion. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye, opposed? So carried. Thank you. We are without at the moment, we are without an animal control officer. And so isn't the town of Arlington, but they did hire somebody.
Yes.
And that person came down here and met with Dave and I, and she seems very qualified. She worked at the Second Chance Animal Shelter for several years. And she and her fiance live in a rural area, have quite a bit of land, is willing to set up some kennels, and is willing to do some of the travel going after people that don't pay their dog licenses and things like that. She's understands the importance of it and that sort of stuff, and in my opinion, she's very well qualified, and Town of Arlington hired her also. She will be, our proposal is that she would be paid
$500 in salary monthly, with $306 quarterly payments because she will be maintaining her own kennels for any dogs that she happens to pick up. And we'll also be paying on a mileage for
Traffic.
recorded trips to Shaftsbury for travel for the position. The total amount is basically what we were paying Tracy for Reb Holzer, because almost everything we paid was for Reb Holzer for access to the kennel. This way, what we're actually doing is we're paying for the ACO to come on these calls and do the work. The much smaller stipend is because she's going to have this on her property, and it's not a full kennel, it'll just be for these dogs. And during the course of the year, we really don't impound that many dogs. So it's enough to keep it going. In Arlington, they have an arrangement also with her for the same exact thing. So she's being able to maintain the kennel, and we're both paying her for time spent in the town.
When Tracy told us that she was getting through, she actually brought down quite a bit of equipment, big kennels and catchers and all that
Yeah,
sort
we
of
have,
stuff.
a variety of things that the town apparently bought for her over 35 years
And
while she was
we will
here.
be turning that over to
Yeah.
this new person.
Yeah, Robin Champagne, she'll be starting actually tomorrow morning. And Mike, I'll be sending you, I need to confirm which phone number she wants on the webpage.
Look,
And so that actually works out very well for us.
great. And you were gonna send me the link for that water board meeting?
Yeah, I'll send that to you in the morning, because I would need to talk to you about, I was looking at today, we need to change the front page and
Oh,
eliminate a few things.
okay.
Because I don't want it buried, I want it kind of where you can be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was her first name? Is Robin?
Robin, Champagne,
Champagne.
Champagne, yeah, I believe is the way it's pronounced.
Okay. Well, so any discussion? I guess first of all, I'd like a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Ken, second by Mike, that we hire Robin Champagne as our new animal control officer. Any discussion, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. So we have a new animal control officer.
We have a new animal control officer.
Okay. Mike Iannotti heat got to him today, so we told him get some rest and cool off. So there are several things that are happening in the DPW part of this. First of all, we are asking the board to approve sending out a bid for a track and track excavator, a compact track excavator. The Volvo, which has served us well, we think we would be better off with something a little bit smaller, or compact, and trade in the Volvo. Always got some value towards considerable down payment towards this machine. Ken's looked at it. Anybody else?
I looked
You
online.
looked online? Okay, then. Probably take these one at a time.
Yeah, they could go one at a time. 'Cause-
Okay, so all I need is approval by the board to send this bid out for bidding. It is to be returned July, by noontime on Friday, the 16th. It'll be opened on July 19th, and then it goes to Mike, who has to make sure that everything is what he wanted, and it will be awarded on August 2nd.
I'd motion that we move to release the invitation to bid for proposal on the compact track excavator.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Ken. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Okay, the next one is for, you got copies, so you don't need these.
I have copies of all that, yeah.
So we'll just, the next one is for a tractor with a mid-mounted boom mower, so that we can do the roadsides. Presently, we're we're renting one for half of June and first half of July, and then later on in October, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
What we have to pay for rental, we are predicting would be what our payments would be for a loan to pay for this, and we would have it all the time. I think, especially this year, I can't believe how fast the weeds have grown
Yeah.
alongside the road and that sort of stuff. But we do have a mower. I saw it working just,
We do have our mower, and the rental mower has arrived,
I saw it
so
this morning.
that's out working.
Yeah.
And just as a note to this, we've already budgeted and been voter approved $24,000 a year to pay for this. Because you may remember, we applied before the pandemic hit for a state treasurer's grant. And that has been, they're actually meeting this week finally after months and months and months of delay. But we picked, that amount was how much it would cost to be financed that way, and so it was approved in the budget last March. So the money for that is here, we just need to get it.
so this is the specs that Mike would like to have, or what we're going to have, because that's for, and this will go out to everybody that wants to bid on it, that type of thing, so.
Okay, I can motion to release the invitation to bid for the tractor with the mower mount.
Mid-mounted boom.
Mid-mount boom mower.
Second.
Okay, it's by Mike, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? So carried. There's that one. And the last one is, this is for work to be done on West Mountain Road, mainly in the area of the orchard,
Correct.
Mr. Ludwig's orchard, going up that hill. It goes to pieces every spring. This is for a contractor or excavator to do certain work. There's culverts, what they call
Stone pillows,
stone pillows,
burritos, they
and
have
ditching,
many names.
and so on and so forth, graveling and all that sort of stuff. It's very specific. This is just a little bit too. If we do all this, we don't get the other things done,
Yeah.
such as mowing and all ditching and all that sort of stuff. So this and this is going to be. We've got a grant for this.
Yeah, we have a grant for that. We just pay 10%, 10% match. And we need to get that out to bid because this has to be completed by October 31st, I believe it is,
Of this year?
of this year, yes.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to release the invitation to bid for the West Mountain Road project in Shaftsbury.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, by Mike, seconded by Ken. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. They will go out to everybody.
You need them back, they,
No, they were copies of the
Okay.
board.
Okay, and what's a grant to, we have to accept a grant for $20,900?
Yeah, we have another grant in aid that, well, we just need to, I've signed the forms as a representative. We just need to have the board approve it and send it in. We haven't decided where it's going yet. We just have to accept the money, and then we'll move on from there.
How much?
The grant itself is $20,900. Our match is $5,225.
So we can, all we gotta do is come up with $5,000 and we get a $25,000 job. Can't go wrong, can you? That's right. So I need a motion to,
so move.
okay, by Ken, second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Is there anything else on, I know Rowland Road's been one lane for a while.
Yeah,
They'll probably be closed off pretty soon because I think they're putting in some stone pillows.
They are doing some of that. I don't have a date for that yet.
Okay.
But that will be closed at certain points through traffic, just for a couple of hours actually each day. I don't know when they're planning on doing that.
What areas, other areas are they working on, do you know?
They're doing, well, they started the mowing, so they're moving around on that. He didn't get into a lot of details today because frankly, his head was pounding. So I don't have a lot of details. But the mowing, finishing rolling, they're still doing some grading, touching up roads, things like that right now. I don't have any other projects they're actually working on at the moment.
The experimental sealer, or the experimental dust control, is that still in the works?
Yeah,
a
it's still in
little
the works. We're now kind of linking with another town around here so that they can make one big
bit? One
delivery.
Okay.
And we're looking at July now. Mike wanted to do it in July, so
Okay.
we'll be set to do that. And that should be interesting.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
You
Okay.
said you needed another laptop for the meetings?
No. This one, I rescued this one. It's still good. No,
Okay.
it just gets, I need a little practice on my zooming because I have to keep switching between screens to put it up there. And it gets a little awkward until I get used to it. Now that I have cameras and everything, I might have microphones for the next meeting. Who knows? But this actually worked out really well. The last meeting when Representative Durfee was speaking from back there, it came up very clearly. Joe comes up very clearly on this. So I was a little concerned that, just distance wouldn't carry. The picture comes out really nicely, I think. That's the picture right there. And people didn't have any complaints about anyone being heard. So it's worked out pretty well.
Get too good, we'll be losing you to
I
Hollywood.
don't know, I may start making little movies here,
Okay. Our next meeting would be scheduled for July 4th. And I don't think anybody wants to come down here and meet with all these friendly faces on the 4th of July. If we put it off to the following week, that means we've got to have 2 meetings because there's not 5 Mondays in July.
Yeah.
So we'd end up having a meeting a week apart. And it also makes it a long time from now until it would be July 11th, is that right? 4 and 7 is 11.
Yeah.
So it would be from now until July 11th. So our proposal is that we would have it on June 30th, which is the Wednesday before the 4th of July holiday. That way we can pay warrants. Actually, it's the end of the year.
Yeah, it has a
makes
lot of
it a lot-
advantages, other than pushing it back, we bring it forward, it doesn't really affect like the bill paying cycle, but it does allow us to close the year with the last set of bills. It would be a special meeting, but it would be an agenda just like this one. We would skip then until the meeting on the 19th of July. It wouldn't affect bills whatsoever because the last bill I would put in for the meeting, which would have taken place on the 5th, would be the same day we're having this meeting. Joe's going to do the warrant in the afternoon. Then we can close the year. It also works out kind of nicely because I'm going to be on vacation the first 2 weeks of July. The treasurer is going to be on vacation the first week of July.
You're
So
all alone.
yeah, so it kind of works out that moving it up is an advantage to everyone. And it allows Joe to start working on some of the end-of-year things because our auditors are coming shortly after to start the audit of this past fiscal year. So it works for us. It would be, like I said, it's a special meeting with a regular agenda. We're just moving it up a week,
So June 30th and then July 19th.
July 19th.
That's right. So, we really should have that in the form of a motion. Why don't we make a motion and we'll, if there's any discussion, okay?
So moved.
So, okay, moved by Ken, second by Joe, that we have our next meeting, and it will be a full meeting with public comments and everything else.
Everything.
But it will be a special meeting because it'll be not on a Monday, it will be on Wednesday, June 30th.
Correct.
6:30?
Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Any action items? What did we talk about that needed follow-up?
I've got a couple things to do with the website, but
Yeah.
we'll connect with that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll get on to you with that tomorrow. We'll get the bids out.
Bids will go out.
I'll get that grant and aid sent down so that we have that. And the Casella discussion just continues, and we'll have that wrapped up by the time. Because he knows I'm going away, so we're settling the minor details, because they really are kind of minor at this point. And continue planning on how we're going to operate it.
Is there anything, there's nothing formal about what we've got this ARPA money, this is a long ways off. We don't have to, no town vote or anything else like that.
No,
It's
and,
all-
yeah, the only thing we have to do right now,
It's just,
before July 23rd, is what you did tonight.
Approve it.
The representative, which means I'll be typing out the forms. Because I'm going to do that now in the next day or two, and just submit that so we're on the record. And then, yeah, it's kind of just time. Then we have time. It's not an immediate decision what to do. I don't think we have the leeway to decide in 2024, and that doesn't seem to be any point in that anyway. And like I said before, the big key question is how they just finally decide to divvy up the county money.
Did you get anything, Dave, on, remember we were talking about cutting some of that blacktop off on the East Road? Just above from Holy Smoke up?
Oh, we haven't.
I didn't know if you mentioned to the highway engineer.
Oh, no, we've all kind of talked about it, but we've not, it's not even a thing we're looking at that needs to be done anytime soon, so. We just got turned down to pay from where we finished to the bridge, so.
Yeah,
We'll finish that part first, and then when the other part needs, that will be a discussion. Should we,
well, that's getting kind of rough up there though, I mean, and,
well, it's always had those hard heads in it, so.
well, it ain't that, there's dips,
Yeah,
cracks, and,
yeah. Well, we haven't really had a thorough discussion of it yet.
okay, no, I didn't know if it got mentioned.
Yeah, oh, no, we've all kind of talked about it, but it's nothing other than
Yeah.
just talking about it. Because it's a section we see further down the road.
All right,
Bad pun.
just seems kind of a shame to pave that, that's all.
Yeah, yeah.
any other comments, discussion, other business?
Nope, nope.
Why don't we adjourn?
Good idea, motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming.